Greetings, fellow Forgeborn, and welcome back to the first Set 6 draft on the Draft Champion series. We're going to join the draft here, and there's been quite some shakeup with the new meta. I think that UN have definitely been pushed off of its throne. My favorite deck is the Tempe's aggressive deck, but I do think that Tremosaur may easily be the best card here in this pack, and I'm very eager to try this guy out. Supposedly very good. Dragon Slayer is a fine underdrop, doesn't really have an ability here. Sparkweaver does have a decent body, but not much more, so it's not a very interesting card. Xerox, or it is an interesting card, but and it sure doesn't work if you have a few spells, which you probably have if you're 10-piece, but I do think the Tremosaur is just an enormous threat, and I do like not blocking in Soulforge anyway, but having Tremosaur means that I'm looking to get aggressive, I think, especially with mobility creatures, so that I can decide whether I want to block or not. So I still, even though I'm picking up Tremosaur, I think I'm looking to go 10-piece here. And while the best card in the pack is Fellstrider, I'm not a fan, or for some reasons. I don't think that Utera Necrim is the best anymore. Fellstrider is good. It is good, but Flamelands, Flowstone, Primordial do good things. I think we're going to try to draft an aggressive Utera Tempest deck, which I think is one of the best decks in the format, which means I'm going to take big creatures. Torrent Soldier is fine. I think it's between Torrent Soldier and Flowstone. Just Flowstone because it's a big level 1. Torrent Soldier is a very versatile card, though, and could really help out with not blocking later on if you level it up. The question is, are we going to level it up in what is aimed to be an aggressive deck? We're not sure, but what this also this does is it keeps us open to not go too all in. Then again, Flowstone Primordial is just a big body. It's useful on player level 2 as well, even though it doesn't level that well. Having the big bodies is always good, so if we're not really planning on leveling the Torrent Soldier, we'd rather have the Flowstone Primordial. I think that's what I'm going to go with. A little bit of back and forth here. I'm not interested in any of these cards. This card is a trap. Probably won't get through. And it's got very bad stats then. Torrent Valkyrie is just a volcanic giant that makes your deck more inconsistent. So I'm just going to pick the Featherfang, a card that I'm not looking to play. This is a card that I will look to play. 7/7, 12/12 do a lot of good things. I like the Stoneback, but I also like the Stormweaver. The Stormweaver is an absolute bomb, but it's much better than Flamestoke Shaman. I guess Ursine Strength is an option, but I will go with the Stormweaver here. This is one of the premium commons in Tempe's, and there are few commons and rares that I would pick over this. Razortooth Stalker has gotten quite a resurgence, I think, or I think at least it will in this format, because the Grow Wide from Utera isn't as strong as used to. They don't have too many of the Bright Tusk Sower type cards, so we're just gonna go with the Stalker here. I'm not too happy with this hand. Flame Rift Instigator is fine, or it was fine, but now there are really not many defenders. I think there's Steam Sentinel, and past that we don't have Avalanche Guardian anymore. We don't have 4 of the Cinder Colossus. So I'd rather pick something else. Maybe Verdant Sphere, Toxic Boon rather. And I think I want the Trick. Tricks are good. However, this I think I'd rather have a Twin Strength than this one because it only affects one lane. But having the Poison option is at least solid. We have quite a few dinosaurs here, so maybe I should pick this in anticipation of having Mastodons that do great work, most of them being a premium constructed card as well. Otherwise, I'd be looking at Blood Boil. This is great at dealing with the big threats that your opponent can throw at you, like Tremorsaur, or maybe just something with this Utera +6/+6 card. So I do like Blood Boil. I think the Stegodon, while unassuming, could do some work for us, merely by being a dinosaur, and we all have 3 dinosaurs already. So let's see if we can get anything to do with that. Torrent Valkyrie is a card with a bad ability, so I'd rather pick the bigger creature on the 2 most important levels. Here we have a Killer Bee, which is basically unplayable in draft. You should never pick it, although the Stinging Invocation is quite good. Assyrian Mystic, which I do like a lot. Rhyhorn Charger, which I'm happy to have in my deck. And Lifeblood Dryad, which I'm not sure we'll be able to be in a position to play to a great effect. This level 2, if you can proc this, is one of the biggest game in Soulforge. Since we are aggressive, I think Rhyhorn Charger or Assyrian Mystic would be good, and since we already have a bunch of big dudes, I think I'm gonna go with a Mystic. This is one of my favorite cards, and I love pushing damage in lanes if I can move over, get a big advantage with maybe Flowstone, Primordial, and Swamp Moss Ancients early on, and then I will be able to play these specialist cards, Assyrian Mystic, which is really good at killing your opponent here. So Trick is good, Blood Boil is good, Prowler is good. Guardian is also, maybe Guardian is better than Prowler, but I kind of value the breakthrough. What I do think is going to happen here is the Twin Strength, though. To just tricks are much harder to come by now, so you should try to have some of them. Killer Bee I don't think is very playable. I think it's a trap. Everflame Aura is a very solid card. Swamp Moss Ancient is great. Flamejet is fine. Fireman Steed is unassuming. I don't particularly like any of these, but I'm going to go with the high attack guy. I don't expect to do anything with this ability. Blood Boon is a card that have impressed me. I don't really have the best targets for it in this deck. Maybe a Tremorsaur and that kind of thing, but the fact that we have Borean Stormweaver, the premium common, means a lot. Or Wallbreaker Yeti basically don't have many targets in this format, so I think that's a trap. Once again, we have big creatures, and I don't think we have too many plans. I don't think there are too many plans in the format, so could easily go with a Prowler here. The level 1 is going to be the most important, and I'd be looking to play this aggressively in player level 2. And it's better than Cadra's Colossus in that role, while Cadra's Colossus is better in if you play it in player level 1. I do think that Prowler is going to be the card that we want, especially if we can get some, well, Twin Strength. We could have picked Twin Strength too, but the tricks rely on you to have a strong board presence and being ahead on board, so that you kind of decide. Either you decide. There are basically 2 stages of being ahead in draft. The first being when you push. First being when you're a bit ahead and your opponent has to block your cards, and then you can play tricks or play other creatures. So you can decide the tempo, and that's where a card like Twin Strength is great. And there is another type of aggressive stage, which is when you're pushing damage already, and that's where cards like Assyrian Mystic really shines. So they can push damage even further and put your opponent in a non-winnable position. I like Ambusher here on the merits of being a 7/7 rather than the Mystic. We don't have the Lifeblood Dryad combo, and I don't expect to pick up many Lifeblood Dryads. So we do have 2 of these Mystics already, so I think I'm just going to pick up a Rhyhorn Charger for being big. And as you can see here, I have really strong creatures based on, well, their size, and they're going to be very, very good. I do really like one of the new things in draft here is the Darkforge tribe, and this is something that actually works rather than a faction combination being affected by the draft engine, because it isn't really. What is being affected is the number of Darkforge you'll see. So if it becomes popular enough, the draft engine will remove them from the packs, so which means that you will get less of the Darkforge, means that it will be a bad strategy, means that people won't pick them, and they will come back up. So there will be, hopefully, and probably, this format where Darkforge will be good, and then they won't be good, and then they will be good based on what we do here. They are really strong if you can get them, but this late I'm not going to move in on any of those. Ursine Strength is an amazing trick, so I'm going to pick that one up. Another big creature, so let's just keep going with that. Grapple Vine I think is fine, but I guess Verdant Grace or Verdant Sphere actually could be solid. But I'm going to go with the Grapple Vine here. The creature could be important, and the losing of mobility is also an important thing. Cavern Serpent, despite being an aggressive deck, I don't think this is the card that pushes damage. I'd rather have a Prowler, which is a card that I really like. Another one of the Darkforge. This is one of the premium ones at common. But we're not going that route. I don't think we're going Dryad's Boon either, because we're just playing one creature a turn, and we may not necessarily want to play creatures, even though we have only, 4 spells so far. I guess 4 spells are kind of low. Maybe we should pick the Shatterbolt for this, because we don't really have the tricks. I could definitely see that. Okay, let's pick the Shatterbolt. Dendrify, card that was I really do like it flavor-wise, the Tree Folk being a 7/7, because it's historically been that Tree Folks are 7/7s from Cultivates and Nuadas, and it makes perfect sense for it to be 7/7, even flavor-wise. So it's a flavor buff, although it's a it's not a strict nerf, but the card got a bit worse in general. Anyway, I'm not sure this is the card I am looking to play in the deck, rather than. I mean, it could get us out of really big problems, but I think we're not going to face that kind of problem often enough, so it's worth taking it over a good trick like Twin Strength or another Mystic. I do like 2 Mystics, and I think the third one may be pushing it, so I think I'm going to go with the trick here. Once again, we have Ursine Strength versus Deep Branch Prowler. Oxidant Spitter is kind of interesting right now because Aloin has a heavy armor theme, so this guy coming back is pretty good. Still, I think it's going to be the Ursine Strength or the Deep Branch Prowler. We already have 2 Prowlers, and our spell count is still kind of low, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So picking the 7th spell isn't going to be bad. And Aether Tap Shaman is a card that I am very happy to pick up. Solid body at multiple levels here, especially at 1 and 3, or especially at 1, but it's fine at 3 too. Great pickup, and Flame Jet I think is going to be more important than Verdant Sphere. So got a pretty aggressive deck here, and I'm looking forward to see if we can beat people down here in Plateau level 2.